So you're going through a bone marrow transplant, or at least you've just been notified that you're going through a bone marrow transplant, and you looked over the entire internet and you couldn't find anything that shows what happens when someone goes through a bone marrow transplant, not at least from the patient point of view. So today is day one for me. It is March 23rd, 2023, and I'm going to show you over the next 20 to 30 days what happens to somebody when they go through a bone marrow transplant. This is kind of what I was looking for, and since no one has done it before, I figured let me be the first. Okay, before we move further with what's about ready to happen to me today, I think it's important we talk a little bit how I got to this point. Now, I know you're not here to hear my backstory. You just want to know what is going to happen to me over the next 20 to 30 days. But I think it's important to get a little bit of a background because yours will be a little different than mine, and so yours may take a little different avenue, so at least you may be able to anticipate what's going to happen. So for me, 6 months ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia, specifically CML. Most people with CML do not get a bone marrow transplant. They just stay on TKIs for the rest of their life. So I was unfortunate enough, by the time I got to the doctor, my white blood count was through the roof. I had a Philadelphia marker, and I had a couple of anomalies in there. So really the only way for me to get through another couple of years of living is to get a bone marrow transplant. Once again, CML normally doesn't have a bone marrow transplant, but mine does. And I think that's super important to know what yours looks like. If you're diagnosed with AML or a more acute diagnosis, 9 times out of 10, you're probably looking at a bone marrow transplant as quick as possible. So with that being said, here's what's about to happen to me, or here's what's happened to me this week. So 2 days ago, I went in for a COVID test just to make sure I wouldn't go into hospital and infect anybody. 1 day ago, I went in and got all of my blood work done. It's the last little blood work you get done before you have to submit as kind of a baseline, what your blood should look like and how it's going to change over the next couple of days. I had to deliver about 23 vials of blood. And then yesterday I got a port put in, it's called a central line port. There's all kinds of different ports, but this was probably the most invasive, the most intrusive, and I actually want to show you here what it looks like. So it's a port that's here that houses these 3 valves, and then this is where they're going to put all the chemicals in and out, and to include the stem cells, and we'll talk about that a little more. And what's the most important part about the central line here is that you'll notice that it's tunneled from here to up to there, and then they take that portion up top, and they mount it to a vein or an artery that leads right into your heart. And so all of the chemicals that you're going to have coming in and out of you, it goes straight in and straight through the heart. You'll usually get that done the day before or 1 or 2 days. It's not super painful. They gave me a little fentanyl, and then I was out. I was mostly awake, but kind of out, but didn't feel a thing. I've had to go back and have it rechecked because it bleeds a lot. At least mine does. They say sometimes they don't bleed a lot, but mine does. All right, so leading up to this point, about 3 weeks ago, they were preparing me for the bone marrow transplant. I had to go in what I called Hell Week, but it really wasn't that difficult. It was really a week long of appointments at your local hospital to include massive blood work, meetings with psychologists, meetings with social workers. They go over a lot of research stuff that they want to collect on you. So basically over a 5-day period, I think I had 20 appointments throughout those 5 days. So a lot of build-up work to get to this point. So now I've made it through all of that. I've made it to the point where I'm at now, which is today I go into the hospital, and at 9 o'clock tonight, they're going to give me my first dose of chemicals. Please note that I'm not receiving any radiation whatsoever. And you may think, well, that's great. You're not getting radiation. At least that's not bad. But honestly, the radiation is actually a lighter form of toxicity to you than the actual chemo. So they're actually going to hit me pretty hard with the chemicals tonight. Yours will differ depending on your health and several other factors that your doctor will choose for you. So it's going to look like tonight, and I'm going to show video. I'm going to capture it sometime this evening, at least I hope to. 9 o'clock tonight, I get the first dose of a lighter chemical, and I think that prepares the way for the other chemicals. I'll go a little more in detail with this here a little later. And then at 10 o'clock, I take 3 hours of the heavy stuff. Ironically enough, the chemicals that I will be taking in particular really doesn't affect you much for the first week. It's the second week where it all catches up with you. At least that's what they're telling me. That's what I expect to happen. But I'll bring you along and we'll see exactly what happens and how I'm affected. While I'm there, they're telling me that I need to eat, sleep, and exercise. It's important to know exercise is not what you potentially think of exercise. They just want me to walk a mile each day. With this port in, I can't do any weightlifting or any kind of heavy exercises, that type stuff. I would say the most important part that I've had to, to make this successful is you have to have an amazing caregiver by your side. I assume this would most likely be a spouse. But if you're not married, I would assume it would be a brother or sister or a mother. This person really does have to be with you for the next 30 days with very few breaks for this person. It's very difficult on them as well. So here you have it. So right now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll be leaving here in a couple of hours. And yeah, we'll kind of go through this together and you'll kind of see. Oh, one last thing, the haircut, I don't normally wear my short hair this short, almost this short. But I thought I'd take a little extra off because I do expect to lose all of my hair somewhere along the way, usually second or third week. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is a little later. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'll try to keep you informed. More to follow. Okay, it's about 9:45 and the chemo has started. And that's it up there, the dark brown bag. It's fluorobutyrin or something like that. It's fluoro something. And I guess this is the first of 2 chemo treatments this evening. This one should last for about an hour, and then comes a little bit of heavier stuff. So I'm also going to get interrupted probably, he said, pretty much every 2 to 3 hours all night. So, but that's good. They're just checking to make sure everything's okay. So at this rate, I should be done with the chemo right around 12:30-ish. So we'll see. All right, keep you updated.